Let's go to Catherine McGregor. Catherine, a new minister, a royal commission, meritorious unit citations not to be revoked, and ANZAC Day. Over to you.
I was touched by the poem, obviously, Alan. I had a grandfather with the 1st AIF on the Western Front, 21st and 24th Battalions, and my father served in the Kokoda, Lay and Wewak campaigns with the 2nd AIF in World War II. So I'm predisposed to the Rising Sun badge and the Australian Army. I'm also, when I think of poetry, that beautiful poem evokes the bard himself, and no one wrote better of the life of a soldier than on the eve of Agincourt, those beautiful words of Henry V. You know, that was a volunteer army too. Just no one conscripted those men. We managed to have conscription referenda in this free society, and voted no to conscript men to join those men on the Western Front. What a testimony. And as Shakespeare, or as Henry said by Shakespeare, we are but warriors for the working day, our gaineth and our guilt are all besmirched by rainy marching in the painful field, but by the mass our hearts be in the trim. And I think that's how every veteran feels at the moment. Well, see, just on veterans, somewhat unwanted, but certainly proud.
Oh, absolutely. So why do veterans have to register this year before being allowed to march on ANZAC Day? But the AFL clash between Collingwood and Essendon will host a crowd of about 75,000. I mean, only 8,000 allowed in the Melbourne March. 1,100 have registered. Sydney's got a 10,000 capacity. Registrations 600. Why are these restrictions at a time when there are no community transmissions of the virus?
I have found it bewildering and I tried to give the state governments the benefit of the doubt. I know the RSL has been confounded as well by this, Alan. I discussed it with Ray James and John Black in New South Wales. Robert Skoda from Queensland, who's stepped up magnificently to do some assistance for veterans. They've got an unrestricted celebration or commemoration in Brisbane, as you know. I simply, there's no rational explanation for this. And I saw a fella from the Victorian branch saying a lot of the older generations, for some of whom the clock's ticking, it may be their last ANZAC Day. They don't have iPhones and computer literacy and QR codes. They, and I think, and Heston Russell said on Paul Murray the other night, not only are some of the older diggers a bit confounded by the technology and just finding it too hard and seeing conflicting advice from state police ministers, veterans affairs ministers and health authorities, none of whom seem to be talking to one another. So you've had this bizarre situation where no one really knows what the safety standard is.
But see, in
Canberra, and the double standard with...
Yeah, in Canberra, they won't even have a Veterans March. They're calling it a march in commemoration. I mean, there's a lot of feeling out there, Catherine, isn't there? And you were magnificent last week about how our veterans are being treated on every front.
It's generating rage in the coalition's base, I think, Alan. They're talking about it. I'm getting swamped with correspondence, and I don't think it's any coincidence that they've moved at 1 million miles an hour to restore that unit citation. Peter Dutton's trying to grip that up. I think they know that the CDF has mishandled this matter egregiously, and they're trying to dig their way out. I think there's genuine rage in the veterans community, and I think Heston, was onto something, that there is an element of non-compliance now, that some people are passively saying, well, we're just not going to collaborate with this nonsense. We'll honour it in another way.
Catherine, ticket allocations for the dawn service, for goodness sake. I mean, the last figures I saw in Sydney, 120 associations and 600 individuals have registered to march along Elizabeth Street out of a cap of 10,000, a cap which was listed from 500. These politicians have gone mad, and the damage they're doing to the morale of our veterans is incalculable.
That is absolutely correct, Alan, and it is exacting a toll. I've had 2 very damaged people in my office in the last 48 hours. One, a female veteran suffering from substantial PTS, and and I need to make it very clear in light of the remarks I did make on this network on Friday night, when I made those remarks, I did not have a client involved in the Brereton process, but as of today, the small incorporated legal practice of which I'm a director, Gap Legal Services, does have a Brereton accused.
Yes.
And I made those remarks without having that person on my books, but I have to acknowledge it.
You don't have to apologise for anything. You don't have to apologise for anything. You're doing it.
They're hurting, I can assure you.
They are hurting.
And they're bewildered, mate. They're bewildered.
I just want to ask you one question before you go. Ben Roberts-Smith,
Yep.
How much longer can people who served in Afghanistan have to cop with these leaks against them?
Well, good question. This is what has astonished me, that, look, there is a process in place. The process is actually the punishment now, as I've foreshadowed, in that it will be lengthy. The Brereton process was long enough and torturous enough. And now this prosecutorial process with further AFP investigations. Look, how on earth what appear to be, and I can't prove it, but they sounded to me awfully like telephone intercepts by an authorised agency.
Yes.
How on earth they can be leaked to the media with no curiosity from the AFP,
Correct.
no curiosity from
Correct.
any of our security agencies, I find that staggering.
Absolutely.
As I said, I've got respect for Nick McKenzie as a journalist, and if someone dropped that material in my lap, were I not bound by the Official Secrets Act, you're going to write it. But how on earth can we countenance this public execution of an individual who as yet has not been charged with any offence?
Absolutely.
And there are what seem to be authorised wiretaps ending up in the public domain. It is absolutely
staggering, disgraceful and appalling, and demoralises veterans, I have to say. We've got to go. Next week I want to talk to you about another aspect of this, and that this wretched TPI pension, which is utterly
Would love
inadequate.
to talk to you.
Utterly inadequate. Good to talk to you, Catherine.
Needs to be overhauled, Alan. We need to go back to first principles on veterans' benefits, and we'll talk about it in due course.
Good to talk to you, and have a wonderful ANZAC Day.
And
There she
you too.
Thank you so much. There she is, Catherine McGregor.